So today we're working on LG VRF Multi V5. We're going to be replacing a compressor. I wanted to show you real quick how to test for bad compressor. You're going to take the leads off your compressor first off, just like that. You know, disconnect power and all that. And then you want to use a good insulation tester. I'm using a Fluke 1507. This one we're going to be testing at 500 volts. So we're going to put one lead right there on the copper, make sure it's got a good connection. The other lead, we're going to bend out this compressor terminal a little bit so we can get a bite on it. Now we're going to hit the test button on our meter, and you can see 0.0 mega ohm. These compressors, anything less than 50 mega ohms is considered bad. We'll be replacing this compressor today, and I'll kind of go through the procedure for that. Right now I'm going to go grab some recovery tanks. Alright, so we've got the valve core removal tools installed. We got the valve cores removed. We've got our gauges hooked up, and our machine pulling refrigerant out. On the Multi V5, this panel is able to be pulled down, set on a bucket so you can get it out of the way. You do have to remove this heat sink off of there, and then when you put it back on, you have to clean that mating surface and put the new heatsink paste on there. And one other thing you want to do when you're going to turn up dip switch 5, it's going to bring you to function. You're going to hit the right arrow. You have to kind of hold it a little bit. Go to service, hit the red button. You're going to go to SE3, red button. That's going to put you in vac mode. What that does is that opens up all the valves in the system. It drives all the EEVs open, all of that. So when you're recovering refrigerant, everything's open. Same thing you want to do in vacuum mode, pressure test, all that. So I found some water. Now this is my DIY subcooler here. So we're pulling from the gauges from the system. We're going into our recovery machine over there. We're coming out of the discharge from the recovery machine, going through this homemade subcooler, which is just 1/4-inch line set that was wrapped around a nitrogen ball. And then I put service ports on either side of it, welded it all together so it's rigid. Throw it in a bucket and just leave a slight stream of water right down the middle of it. It works tremendously. I've tested it side by side and it works better. Keeps it about 50 to 75 psi lower. And I had two systems set side by side that I was pulling from. So, all right, well, we have pulled the entire charge out. We've got our tools loaded up. We pulled a total of 91 pounds out of the system. We're going to pull this electrical cabinet down to gain access to the compressor. So there's a heat sink right here on the side, which I'll put a picture up on the screen so you can see that. Basically you got to take this liquid line off, just 2 screws. Okay, so that just pops right off. Then you've got a couple cables that need to get pulled out of their clasps. And then this whole cabinet can be right down on a bucket just like that. So then that gives you access to, well, easier access to the compressor, so you can get back there and braze and everything. Just makes your life a whole lot easier to pull this cabinet out of the way. And then this piece here comes off, and then you can pull this center section off too. Alright, so we've got this section here pulled out and that center section pulled out. So now you can see we've got really good access to get in here and do our brazing. We've got the compressor blanket pulled off. Gonna pull the crankcase heater off, and I'm gonna cut right below the stub on this. The reason is that line's pretty rigid. I don't want to fuck it up, so we're just going to cut right below the stub. Okay, we're going to power the system back on. It's completely okay to do that while this is sitting here. I would suggest taping up your compressor leads in case there's a little bleed through voltage. We're going to put it back in vacuum mode. That way, as we're brazing, we make sure we're getting nitrogen everywhere throughout the system for a good purge. We don't want to dirty up the system. I'll show you that one more time. Right there, so we're already in function. We're going to go over to service with the right arrow, and then we're going to press and hold. It's like a press and hold for like a second. Go in there. We're going to go to SE3, and you hear all the solenoids open up, and you'll see it says vacuum, well, VACC on the screen. So now everything's open. I've got a nitrogen purge going. I like to let it purge for 5 to 10 minutes before I start brazing to make sure the system's thoroughly saturated with nitrogen, just to make for a clean braze. So, alright, so we're going to do an acid test. This is the new Calgon Phase 3. I prefer the Sporlan, but this is what I had on my van. So for this, we're going to pour the contents of the small bottle into the large bottle. It'll turn pink. And then we're going to fill this up with compressor oil. So it wants it to be overflowing. We did that. So we're going to pour this into the, and that is some nasty looking oil. I don't know if you saw that, but it looks like diesel engine oil. Okay, so we pour that in there, and then clean up the giant mess we just made. We're going to shake this. We've got acid, I can tell you that already. So that looks like a, what do you call it, green tea? Yeah. We've got acid. It's supposed to wait for 2 to 3 minutes for this phase separation. So bottom layer fades or loses its color entirely. The sample has an unacceptable acid number, which I can tell you right there, we've got problems. Okay, so we got the compressor brazed in. Our system's got acid in it, so we're going to have to do a cleanup, and that'll be on a different day. We'll have to install a suction line filter dryer with a bypass, and probably in the next week or so, and we'll continue this video there as a part 2 most likely. I'm going to get the site cleaned up here and then on to the next one. We'll see you guys there.